Okay guys, what I wanted to try and do here, something I've wanted to try for a while now, is just do a freehand sketching sheet here that gives a kind of an overview for maybe third years, fifth years on, I suppose, the projection systems and what we'd to be trying to do in the subject here. So I'm going to start off here. Just if we take a little section there, I'll just put maybe a little rectangle roughly in the middle of the sheet here. I'm going to rub this out again later, so don't be too concerned about that, but just roughly here in the middle of the sheet. And I'm going to sketch in a sphere. So there's a sphere, and I'm going to just put it sitting on a surface, and I want to put in a cone. Put that sitting on the surface. Next I'm going to do a cube. So there's our crow's foot. Now over here I'll put a pyramid. And up here maybe a cylinder. Now I'm going to put some colours on these. Now I'm going to use green for the ground underneath. So I'm going to just sketch the horizontal plane or the surface that they're sitting on. I'm going to put that in green, and I'm going to use maybe yellow for the objects. Okay, and I'm going to put different colors, alright, on the surface of the cube. I'm going to color the faces in different colors for reasons that you'll see later on. So I'm going to pause this now because there's not much to be learned from watching somebody freehand sketch or coloring, shading in or whatever. So I'll just pause that and I'll continue in a few minutes then. Okay, so as you can see there, I'm just taking my time there and keeping that pencil down fairly flat. So it's putting on a fairly wide coating there every time. Okay, so I have the horizontal plane done underneath them. I might just zoom in there a little bit for a second. So the next thing I want to do there now is I want to just shade these in. So I'm going to go heavy along the edges. Okay, and I'll just lighten up then. And when you're shading a cone, you want to be working from the point down. So and I'm going to leave the center of this white, and I'll just put a little zigzag across that. So there's our cone, and that's meant to look like light reflecting off it up the center. Now same with the cylinder, I'm going to go heavy vertically along the edges first, just shade that in like that. So heaviest and just getting a bit lighter as we come out towards the center. I'll just color the top in like that, it's fine. So pyramid next. Now the sphere going to go dark along the bottom and the side and to just draw ellipses along it like that. And just go a bit heavier along the sides again there. Now for the cube here now, I'm going to go with just the top of it. Being in yellow. And whatever bright colours you have there, I'm gonna just happen to have orange here. So I want to paint or colour the three faces in different colours. So okay, so there we have the sphere, cone, cube, cylinder, pyramid, and they are all 3D. So they're all 3D solids. And now the next thing that I want to look at there is, let me just slide the sheet up here now a bit. So what I'm going to look at here now is we're going to focus on the cube here now. So I'm going to just draw that cube again. Now the way I drew that cube up here is called isometric. So I'm going to start with 30 degrees, 30 degrees, vertical, and then vertical and vertical, and the same 30 degrees slope here, 30 degrees slope this way, and then if that's 30 degrees, this is 30, if that is 30, this is 30, so they're just parallel, and that's my top surface there. And just put a surface underneath that again, but 30, 30 and vertical, so 30 degrees, I'll just stick that in there, and 30 degrees here. So that is called isometric, and that is a way of representing objects in 3D. So I'm going to keep my colors matching here now. So I'll just pause that, and I'm going to copy all of the colors off this. Okay, so I've just matched the coloring on this cube with this one, there's a reason for that, as you'll see later on. And just to brighten up the sheet there, I'm going to just draw a box freehand, not a box, an outline around that, and I'll just colour that in as well. Okay, so that's isometric. Now another way of representing cubes and boxes is what's called oblique. Now I guess oblique is easier because what you do is you start off with a 2D, which would be like a square, and we're going to extrude that then, or if you're familiar with SolidWorks, it would be extruding, where we're going to take lines back at 45 degrees and the same distance. So that would be the base going back. This is vertical. And this would be horizontal. So there's our cube, and I'm going to just put a surface underneath that, and I'm gonna, no, that's oblique, which is another way of representing objects in 3D. So I'm going to pause that there and do my coloring. Okay, so that's isometric, and this one here is oblique, and the isometric starts with vertical 30-30, the oblique starts flat, just draw the square, and then 45 degrees. So they're just two different ways of representing 2D objects or 3D objects on a drawing or on a page or a sheet. Now, the next thing just to think about is, what is a 2D object? So basically a 2D object is something that is flat. You can slide it under a door in theory. So like that protractor there is a 2D object because it's flat, or the sheet of paper is flat, whereas a highlighting marker is not, because no matter what way you twist and turn this, you can't see it as being an edge view. So if it can't appear as a line or an edge view, then it's not a 2D shape or figure. So you could think that maybe a cube is made up of 6 2D surfaces, so 6 squares. If it's a hollow cube, if it's a shell of a cube, if it's a solid cube, well then it's a 3D object. But basically 2D means that it's flat. So what I'm going to try and draw here is just the front view, top view and side view of one of the, so I'm going to pick the blue one here. So that face there is blue. So I'm going to just color that in. Now it's much easier to do your coloring if you don't have the sheet stuck down, because you can twirl it around to suit the way your wrist moves or your hand moves there to make it easier. So I'm just twisting that around there. Okay, so if that there is our 2D face of this, so if that is a front view of it, if I was looking down on top of that, that is going to look like just a blue line. And in a side view, just kind of put the ground here and my 45-degree line. 45-degree line. So if I projected that over, up, height across, the side view of that face is going to be an edge. And the same in the other direction. Project that over, project that up, the height across. So there we have the front view, the top view, side views of that. So that there is a 2D shape. Now, the next thing I want to look at here is I'm going to use all of this over here, all this side. I'm going to draw 4 horizontal lines in pencil light. So I'm going to put the first one up here like that, and I'm going to put just 2 random dots on it, here and here. And what we're going to do is we'll just lay out all of these. The next one I'm going to put down about 1/3 of the ways down. So again, we're just going to take a horizontal line and 2 dots. And again, I'm going to come up about 1/3 and take a horizontal line across and 2 dots. So I'm going to start up here. Now we're going to look at perspective. Now perspective is a way of drawing 3D objects. Now I would imagine that 3rd years and 5th years will have done perspective, but we're just going to do a little bit of it again by freehand. So I'm going to sketch a vertical line here, and I'm going to vanish them to this vanishing point back here. Vanish these to the vanishing point back here. And we're going to just guess that if this is a cube, we would be going back to about there, going back to about here. So that is a smaller height. It gets smaller as it goes back along. So I'm going to heavy end this. And then finally this vanishes back to there. This one vanishes back to here. And I'm going to heavy in the back of that there. And that there is a cube. Now that's called a vanishing point, VP, and that's called a vanishing point. And I'm going to just apply the colors onto this. So the top of our cube here is yellow. Our left side is blue. Now don't go too heavy when you're colouring in surfaces. Just stay fairly light, because if you go too heavy on it, it becomes difficult to start to get a uniform colour on it. So finally, there's our right hand side of our cube. Now I'm going to do 3 different perspectives here on this, because it's just kind of different and a bit fun really. But I'm gonna, so this is meant to be looking down on from above so we can see the top. Now I'm going to do this one slightly different. So here is our cube, and these go to the vanishing points, and we're going to guess basically the sides of the cube here and just heavy in. And again, that there's our cube. I could lighten off the line there if I wanted, but I think I'll just leave it. I'm going to just colour that in there as well. Now you'll notice on this one that we can't see the top or the bottom. Okay, because we're just looking at basically the same level as the horizon line. So there's okay, so that's perspective. This is the same thing, perspective, and on the next one here I'm going to just do a vertical. We're vanishing to the horizon lines, and these stay vertical. Now this is the key to this, that this is also, all of these are perfectly vertical. So that's the left side, the right hand side. So I'm vanishing this one to the vanishing point here, vanishing that one to the vanishing point there. I'm just going to heavy these in. So again, left side is blue. Now we don't know, I suppose, what colour the underneath of the cube is, because over here we couldn't see it. So I'll put on our orange. So I think I'm going to give it a colour anyway, because it would look a bit, although not, it'll be alright. Now finally, I'm going to just do one last one here. I'm going to keep, I'm going to put a point down here. And I'm going to just use those vanishing points for a different drawing again. So now that's straight up from this dot. So I'm going to use these vanishing points. And I'm going to pick a dot here, but this now is what's called a 3-point perspective. So all these lines vanish back to the dot here, and that's vanishing there, that's vanishing here, and I'll heavy in our cube here now, but as you can see there now, the further away an edge is, the smaller it appears. So I'll just colour this in here now. Now I know I've done a lot of perspective there, and it's not that perspective is such a huge part of the course or the curriculum, but it is a nice thing to be able to mess with and tinker with, you know, just if you're at a loose end in class there and you feel like practicing your drawing, your doodling. So all of this topic over here is perspective. Now, the next one we're going to look at here now is orthographic projection. Now I'm going to stick with our cube here, but in orthographic projection we are going to be drawing, I know this looks like a square, but this is the front view of our cube. This horizontal line represents the ground. I want to project these down and draw a top view. And then just a light 45-degree line here. 45-degree line here. Heights across, so that's a side view. And here's the other side view. Now this is orthographic. Now, orthographic projection is a way of representing 3D objects using 2D views. Just shading that heading there. So, now it's what's used a lot for house plans, and architects use orthographic drawings because there would be too much information on a 3D drawing. So you would have a front view of a house, a top view, side views or in views of the house. Now, if I decide that the front view here, if the blue is the front view, now there's a lot to be learned about using colours for orthographic. Colouring is a great way of learning and understanding orthographic. So I'm going to colour in that. So if that's our front view, so I'll just label that here as front and top and side. Now the top is yellow or golden, So there's our top view done. So if the blue is the front view, when I'm looking to the right, I'm going to see the orange over here. Now that's something that causes a lot of issues for maybe first years starting off there with orthographic, and they get mixed up on that there. But if you're looking to the left, it's drawn on the left, and if you're looking to the right, it gets drawn on the right. Often first years mix that up. So we know front view, top view, and we know that's orange. We don't know what color this is, so I'm going to leave it. But what I do want to put in here is the edge views. So when you're looking down from above, that blue surface is here. And seeing as the top of it is golden, it's like that. And that front blue edge, when you're looking to the left or looking to the right, that's going to be here, and if you're looking to the left, that's going to be there. So I think that's a good exercise to put on some colors on that. And finally there, because we know that the right hand side is orange, that would be an orange line there, and that would also be an orange line there. Now they're all the colors we know, so I'm going to just leave it at that, but I think that's a good exercise to help you try and understand the different colors. Now the last one, I'll just adjust my sheet over here a bit. The last one I want to look at here now is Axonometric. Projection. Now, axonometric projection is, I suppose, it's a way of drawing an object in 3D using two 2D views. So we were looking earlier on there at the 2D views here, so like a front view and a top view and a side view. So any two will do. So just because of the space here, I am going to use a top view and a side view there to just sketch that cube. So I'm just rubbing out that box around that there, so I just get rid of that now when I'm at it. So now the basis of the axonometric there is I'm going to just sketch here a 30-degree angle, 30-degree angle, and vertical. And I'm going to try and keep them light enough to rub these out later on. So, and I'm going to project this down. And down here I want to draw 45 degrees, 45 degrees. Now that's a way of thinking of this, a way, maybe not the most correct way, but is that you're looking into the corner of a room. So that's like a wall, that's the right hand wall, this is the floor down here. And if you look down on top of that there, then that's like an edge view of the wall, the floor. Now I'm going to sketch our cube. Sitting in the corner of the room. So these are 45 degrees angles. There's our cube, and we know looking down on top of the cube that that is gold. Yellow. So I'm just going to color that in. Now the blue edge is on the left and the orange is on the right. So there's our top view. Now I need one other view, so that gets drawn. You extend out there the 30-degree line, and I need to put a line sloping downwards at 15 degrees and inwards at 15 degrees. So that's a 90-degree angle here. Now that represents the wall, this represents the floor, and I'm going to draw my cube again here. Now, since I'm looking up from this direction here, I'm going to be seeing the blue surface of the cube. So I'm going to be seeing the blue surface of the cube. So the orange is at the front here, and the golden surface is on top. No, so that's a 2D view. That is a 2D view. And those are full size, so they're whatever the real size is. That's the wall. This is the floor. Now the reason the axonometric is called projection, just get that back into, just zoom back there a little bit. Now the reason that this is called projection is the 3D object is going to be drawn here, but we need to project it up. So I'm going to bring up the right hand side here. That's where that's up against the wall. I'm going to bring up the left. So all of the widths are projected up from the plane. All of the heights are projected from this side view. So what I've got here now, because these are in line, so what I've got here now is the footprint on the ground. But the only two of them I'm going to see heavy is the left and the right. So there's the footprint on the ground, and I'm going to extend these up. And I'm now going to project down the front face from here. So that's coming from here, so that's giving me the height of the front face. And now normally I would not go colouring in until I have it all drawn, but maybe it might help you to see where this is coming from. So that there is that orange surface. And this here on the left hand side is the blue surface. And finally there then I'll just complete this. Here's the top surface. Now, I think what finishes these off, I might just use pen for this, is I'm going to just heavy in this wall on the left and just heavy in a section. I'll heavy in the wall on the right and the floor along here. Now those are axonometric planes in reality, but just to picture it, you know, that's the object drawn in the corner, and that's like the floor, and that's like a wall, and this is like the other wall. So it's a good way of visualizing or picturing that. So I'll just zoom back a little, or just make sure that's all in shot there now. I think it is. So basically what we've got there is, in graphics, we're representing, often these are the main solids like the sphere, cone, cube, or prisms and cylinders and pyramids, but we represent them using perspective, which is a 3D representation of an object. Isometric is a 3D way of representing an object. So is oblique. That there is just to clarify what a 2D drawing is. So, and orthographic, which we do a lot, is front views, top views. So that's representing 3D objects using 2D drawings. And when I say 2D, you've got the width and the height here, you've got the width and the depth there, and you've got height and depth. So you've got two sets of dimensions in each of these. And finally there, the axonometric is a combination of using 2D orthographic to project a 3D object. So yeah, that's a tricky enough sketching sheet there now, to be honest. So yeah, best of luck with that.